Guys, welcome to the video. Today we are talking about what the top 1% of closers, solar closers specifically, do differently than everybody else, okay? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Nascimento. I live in the state of Utah. This is the worst state to sell solar in the United States of America, and I have consistently made $200,000 month to month, back to back. And I have used my same systems to grow a company to 65 people in less than 1 year. And many of these people are making over 6 figures per month. So let me tell you, the best closers in the game are not winging it. They're not going off of talent. They're not going off of some special slide deck or product. They're going off of frameworks in a playbook that is very specific. Okay, the secret to selling at a high level isn't being better. It's being different. So today I'm going to be talking about what separates the top 1%, even the top 0.01% from everybody else, because what they're doing, what I've been doing, it is completely different. And to put this in perspective, here in Utah, outside of Utah, most people, when they sell solar, they're saving people money day one, or they're doing close to a bill swap, meaning the utility payment, average payment, and the solar payment are usually pretty close, or the solar payment's cheaper. In Utah, the solar payment is almost always higher, okay? And the industry average of retention or sale to install is usually 50% or less. For us, it's over 85%. So I promise you, what I'm gonna share with you, I can give you some breakthroughs and I can take your sales game to the next level. And if you're like me and you're self-generating 30 deals a month, you're already making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. If anything, I can help you make more money per deal and still have happier clients. So in this video, we're gonna be covering today, number 1, 6 things that sales reps do that are killing their sales. Number 2, how to sell any prospect on the door so that you walk into a lay down appointment. Number 3, why building rapport with a modern day prospect is not nearly as effective as it used to be, and I'm gonna tell you what you need to do instead. Number 4, we're gonna be talking about how to know 100% of the time in your first 10 minutes of any appointment you sit with that it will close. Number 5, when you get to signing docs, how to make that process completely seamless with zero resistance from your prospect. Number 6, I'm gonna talk about how to sell at a higher PPW, make more money per deal, while simultaneously having 85% of your sold jobs get installed compared to the 50% industry average. So to start, I want to talk about what not to do. So these are examples of things I'd say 95% of most salespeople do. And you might be looking at this list thinking, Nick, like, how can I not build a proposal? How can I not sit at their couch? How can I not build rapport? I'm going to tell you better options to doing these things and why they create sales resistance, okay? So number 1, do not build a proposal before going into the appointment. Now, there is an exception for this. If you are a brand new rep or still in training, I do advise doing this, okay? But once you have everything down, it's much better to build in-home for a few reasons. Number 1, it's gonna save you time because no matter how good you are at selling, you cannot sell every person you talk to. So I do not do it unless I'm in the home because it takes me 5 to 10 minutes at most, and it gives you an opportunity to build rapport with the client in an organic way. It also helps you build credibility and authority. And plus, when you're at the home, you've looked at the roof, the electrical, you've looked at their bills, you can build a system and customize it specifically for their home. Now, I understand some companies don't allow you to do this. That's okay. But if you do have the option to build in-home, it's much better. The second thing that everybody does wrong is they tell the prospect, I'm gonna be here at 4 p.m. and they show up at the exact time. Now look, if you told the prospect 4 p.m., you have to show up at that time. But if you are telling the prospect a specific time, it's very desperate, okay? What you wanna do instead is give them an arrival window. Say, hey, I'm slammed. I'll be able to come by tomorrow sometime between 4 and 6 p.m. Okay, depending on the approvals before you. If they don't get approved, I'll be here a little closer to 4. If they do get approved, I could be later till 4:35, 5:30, even 6. Okay, this shows that you're not desperate. You're already slammed, and it creates this natural scarcity, which increases their buying desire. This will also allow you to stack more appointments if you're self-generating, or if you're a closer, allow your setters to stack more appointments, because no matter how good you are at setting appointments, statistically 50% of them are gonna sit. Now, if you're really good, 75% of them are gonna sit. But even so, you can't guarantee that every appointment that you set will sit. So therefore, what can you control? Stacking more appointments in these specific windows so that you're not wasting your top talent's time. Whether you're setting for other closers or you're self-generating your deals, people telling you no is not the problem. People wasting your time because you let them is your problem. The third thing you want to avoid is don't sit at the couch. People make decisions at their kitchen table. So set the expectation, I want to meet at the table. The fourth thing most people do wrong, and this is okay to do early on, okay? But it's building rapport out the gate, especially with certain personality types where they want you to cut to the chase. Building rapport will actually backfire on you. So it's good to jump right into things. I'll teach you guys on this video how to do exactly that. Number 5, do not go through a slide deck presentation. Most sales reps do this and you appear very salesy, okay? Now with that, you still wanna have a structure of things that you show them. You wanna show them Google reviews. You wanna show them charts and graphs and have your data and statistics pulled up. You wanna have different articles pulled up in visuals, okay? But don't put it in the form of a slide presentation where you're swiping, because you'll appear very salesy, okay? And when that is the appearance, it's very hard to win over trust. And number 6 is do not hard close at the end. I'll teach you a better way to close people organically where they're asking you for the business instead of you asking them. All right, so guys, let's jump into the meat of this video, okay? The first thing, I'm gonna cover the 4 main points here, just a 30,000 foot view on everything. Number 1, you have setting expectations before. So on the door, on the set, on the phone, this is before the appointment. Okay, number 2 is setting expectations in the appointment, your first 10 minutes. We're gonna talk about how critical that is, okay? And that's the section where I'll explain how you know for like damn certain that you're going to get the deal in 10 minutes, okay? And number 3 is building trust while building the system. And number 4 is leaving with proper expectations. So this is about increasing your install rate, decreasing your cancel rate, and increasing the amount of referrals you get, okay? So let's jump into it. Number 1 here, okay? I call this sold on set. The more I've done this, I've realized, hey, you could take a top tier closer, okay? Someone like me that closes 90% of the deals they sit in, and if you give them an appointment that had improper expectations set, the close rate will go down drastically. So it's so paramount that you set proper expectations with the homeowner out the gate. So if you get the set right and you give the right expectations to the prospect, you're gonna make your life a lot easier to close the deal. So I'm gonna cover a few points on how to set really good expectations to take your sit rate well over 50% and not just get a higher than 50% sit rate, but have the majority of those close, usually 75, 85, 90% of those deals, okay? So much of that close rate comes down to how you set that appointment and the expectations up front, okay? Some obvious ones are, do they know that it's solar, okay? Do they know you don't work for a utility company? Do they know panels are going off on the roof? For us, we set expectations of what the pricing is gonna be roughly, okay? And we set expectations of what the appointment's gonna look like, that we need both homeowners there, okay? But one trick, okay, this is not a trick, but this is just a method that really works, okay? Instead of trying to qualify people by saying, hey, your roof has to be this age, or your credit has to be over this, or you wanna be in the home for this long, you wanna tell them who can't qualify. Okay. When you tell people who can't qualify, for example, you can't qualify Mr. Prospect if your roof is over 25 years old. Okay. You can't qualify if your bill's under $45 a month. You can't qualify if you're moving in 6 to 9 months. Okay. And if you want to get technical, there's a better wording you can use. You can say you're ineligible to get approved if X, Y, or Z. Okay. And if you say qualify and just leave it vague, like it's hard to qualify, it'll backfire and you'll actually come off more salesy. Now, if you say, hey, Mr. Prospect, you're not eligible or you can't qualify if your roof is over 20 years old, when you give specific things like that, it increases their buying temperature and doesn't build sales resistance, okay? And they'll start selling themselves, no, my roof is actually 10 years, so I'm good, right? Oh, no, I'm gonna be here for 4 years. That's great, okay? The second point here on the set to have really good expectations is, again, give them an arrival window. Do not say a specific time. Now, there are cases where this is okay, right? Where they're on a time crunch and they need you to be there at a certain time. That's okay. But again, for multiple reasons, not just to give yourself the flexibility, but doing this allows you to stack more appointments, okay? But more importantly, it shows that your prospect that you are not desperate, okay? That you're busy. This is so paramount. If you're not doing this, this is a huge hack. If you got just that from this video, I promise you, this will help. The third thing is I follow a process on my sets, and we have our whole team follow this process. PGP, it's pain, gain, pullback, okay? So people don't have a desire to change or talk to you or put panels on the roof, do anything with anyone, let alone give you their money, right? Until they feel desire to change. Desire to change usually comes from pain more often than it does from the desire to gain. So if you're saying, hey, we're gonna save you money, Wrong approach. Say, hey, look, your bill's increasing with inflation. That sucks. I'm not here to sugarcoat this. This program also sucks. But if you can get approved, I don't know if you can, we got to look at your roof, all these different things, we'll lock in your rate. But again, if you're moving in 6 months, this is not going to make sense. If your bill's under $40 a month, it's not going to make sense. So what I just did there was pain, gain, pullback. You follow this sequence throughout, you'll increase their buying temperature and their desire to actually follow through and move forward and actually sit down and hear you guys out. Okay, the fourth thing on the appointment set is just housekeeping items, just common sense, okay? Make sure they either have their bills ready for the appointment, that they either have them pulled up online or they have paper copies, okay? You wanna give them homework, okay? It's good to collect one bill and have that take a picture for the appointment and store it, but it's also good to have them collect the other 11 copies to get the entire year's worth of usage and just show them how the bills work and teach the prospect in the appointment, okay? But you wanna get them to do something. Sometimes it's good to have them come look at the meter. I usually did that when I was in the actual appointment, not on the door, but both work, okay? This is the other thing. Both spouses need to be home, okay? I'll use certain verbiage that is technically, you can call it a white lie, but I'll say, hey, legally, we need both of you guys to be here. I say that because I don't want any discrepancy, any doubt of like, hey, no, Nick, I wear the pants, I make all the decisions because, and when I show up in that time window, let's say it's 4 to 6, and I show up at 5:30 and your wife's not here, I will go right to the next homeowner. I'll set that expectation that, Mr. Prospect, I love you, I wanna help you, but I'm not paying your bill. I'm happy to help, but I've got other families that are gonna take this more serious. I'm gonna go put them first, okay? Again, as you do this and show them that you're not desperate, that you have a stacked calendar, this will increase their buying temperature. Third thing here is, again, set the expectation, hey, have the bills pulled up, let's meet at the kitchen table, please. Okay, if you're a setter, take it a step further. Hey, if you can, my guy's slammed. If you could have a glass of water ready for him, that would be amazing. Again, telling them these things, they're not used to hearing that, right? They're used to hearing, hey, we're gonna have some sales guy come by, drop off a proposal, show you a quote, and tell you why you should do this. Okay, you wanna flip it on them, say, hey, look, we don't need any of this. If you wanna keep paying your bills, that's great. If you want to get your rate locked in, we're happy to help. If you can, please help us. We're slammed because we got a lot of people. We want to meet at the kitchen table, have your bills ready. We need both of you guys to be here, and we need you to be flexible in the time. As you do this, your sit rate, guys, I'm telling you, sit rate and close rate will jump. And then finally, set the expectation on time, okay? It's going to be, hey, Mr. Prospect, it's going to be about 15 minutes. If things are quick and we can't qualify the home, that's okay. This is a key line, okay? If we can't qualify the home, or if we find a reason it's not going to make sense, your electrical's outdated, roof's too old, panel orientation won't work, if your bill payment history is bad, it's okay. We're not going to judge you. I don't want to get your hopes up. We'll cut the appointment and move on to the next family, okay? So I set that expectation that our goal is to disqualify fast. But hey, look, if it does go through, we might be Facebook friends. We could be here for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, okay? So the expectation is very clear, all right? So there's no surprise of when you show up or someone else shows up that, oh, this is solar, or oh, like this is a loan, or oh, like I didn't know this was gonna take an hour. I thought you were just gonna drop off a quote, right? So setting expectations. Now, as you do this, you're going to get a few objections. That is exactly what you want, because if you can overcome and hedge 1 or 2 of those main objections at the door in a very simple manner, don't go into detail, you're gonna tee yourself up for a much higher sit rate and close rate, okay? All right, and then finally, hit with them the end goal, the cost, and then there's panels, okay? Don't omit that. So by cost, I mean, you don't have to tell them the total cost. You just say, hey, look, here's what it's gonna come down to, all right? You're paying this is likely gonna be this much per month, okay? When we show people, hey, look, this is gonna increase your bill a little bit, I'll ask them, well, why do you think people wanna do this? And I'll show them the slick of inflation of their bill increasing over time. And they'll say, well, yeah, I get that. I wanna rent and have my costs go up over time. Perfect. Well, that's the con to solar, is that we're gonna have these ugly panels on your roof, okay? So again, I'm following that pain, gain, pullback process. As you give these selling points, you want to pull back so you don't come off too salesy, okay? So someone's like, oh yeah, I can see why we do this. It's gonna lock in our rate. Over time, we're gonna save money, right? And then if I say, yeah, you're getting it, it's gonna kind of sound too good to be true. So I'll be like, hey, yeah, the con is these panels gonna go on the roof, right? You understand why not everybody wants to do this. And they'll start selling themselves, yeah, I get it, but yeah, let's look into this, okay? Okay, number 2, this is the most important part that I see so many people do wrong. When I first started selling solar, I did really well. Okay, my main focus going into the home was building rapport, and that works to an extent. With the modern day buyer, there's more competing for their time. They have more sales resistance, and they don't want to kiss ass with you building rapport. Some families, some people will, and if they do, take advantage. Use that. It's going to make it a lot more comfortable for both of you. Okay, and the whole thing is going in. You're trying to teach people. Look, there's two options: pay your utility or pay the solar. And it's pick your poison. Don't oversell the solar, okay? And don't paint this crazy facade of the utility. Just tell them the truth. Hey, this is a utility payment. It's going up every single year. It's this thing called inflation. You've heard of that. It's never going away. When you make a payment, nothing comes back to you. So in other words, it's 100% interest. It's rent. And if you're here in 50 years, you'll still be paying the utility. It's never paid off, okay? So those are the three critical points I hit on. I don't sell the solar. I just shit on the utility. And then instead of selling the solar, I actually shit on the solar. Okay, I say, hey, look, these panels are ugly. They're black on black, but still ugly. Nobody wants them on the roof, right? The benefit is obviously the rate will be locked in, and it's not going to save you a ton of money up front. For us, we're increasing your bill by a little bit, but here's why people do this. Instead of telling them, show them, give them slicks, give them the charts. I built out a spreadsheet that shows side by side utility versus the solar. Okay, all right. So again, part of the biggest step within this, the first 10 minutes of the appointment. This is how you know you'll get the deal, okay? Guys go in sugarcoating stuff, like warming them up, buttering them up, talking about the family, all that, and then, telling them some basic points of the solar and answering a few questions and asking what their end goal is. That's fine. That can work, okay? This method works with almost every personality type, coming in, hey, look, I don't know what they told you or what you guys got from me when I set the appointment, but both of these options suck. I wish I could tell you otherwise. As you tell them this, their guard lowers, okay? Because as you sell people, they're thinking, what's the catch, what's the catch, what's the catch? They're always thinking, he's gonna tell me what I wanna hear. So when you start telling them the ugly early on, you pull down their guard and you start building trust faster and they'll start listening, okay? So, but I always detach. I say, hey, look, I'm okay. If you kick me out, I'm good. I love you guys, but I'm not paying your bill, okay? So let them know you're okay. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to teach you. Again, both of these options suck. This one might make sense, the solar net metering. If it doesn't, that's okay. I'll be the one to tell you I wouldn't do this, okay? And examples of that, this happens, okay? This is not me just saying this, guys. If their bill came in like $35 or $30 more per month than what the utility was because of the panel orientation or they needed electrical upgrades or different adders, I would tell them, hey, this is not gonna make sense, guys. Just don't worry about it, So just remember that and use that. You want to have the ball in your court, okay? All right, so cons up front, get the ugly out of the way. It's a huge, I always say cons convince. The second thing here is show the end goal. So don't tell them, leverage the law of contrast. All right, so I know you guys probably can't see the numbers on here, but this is an example of what I go and showing people, okay? I do this on these slicks when I'm really short on time, or I'll pull this up on my iPad and actually put in their utility payment right here, and our spreadsheet system will actually kick out the projected inflation based on the past history. It'll show what they're gonna be paying over time, okay? And then it kicks out the solar. In the solar here, we have about $15, $20 more per month. Now, what I've actually learned is to inflate the solar cost and deflate the utility for a couple reasons, okay? I'm sure some of you guys that have experienced closing in solar have gone through a whole sales presentation with somebody or got their usage. And at some point, they're telling you, hey, my average bill, Nick, is $100 a month. And then they find out, you go back and look, and oh, it's actually $91. They feel kind of like this, I got you, like, oh, I'm good, like I'm not paying as much as I thought. So I always undercut what they're paying to be safe, and I overplay what the solar is gonna be to be safe, okay? And this is called the law of contrast, is I increase this and I decrease this so that it's never gonna backfire, right? And if we go and look at their usage and we find out the bill's 105, 110, oh, great, that just makes my job easier. And I tell them, hey, look, the solar worst case is gonna be 140, right? I already get them sold on that by showing them this, okay? People actually, believe it or not, will be sold on it if you do this right, okay? If you hit those three main points I told you prior, you're never gonna pay off your bill. It goes up every single year, and it's 100% interest, right? You just jam those three down their throat. Those are the macro 30,000 foot view things. People get lost in the weeds and the micro details, but those are the macro things that you need to help them focus on, okay? But I'll show them an inflated solar cost to be safe. Say, hey, it's probably gonna come in cheaper than this. I gotta look at the roof, I gotta look at electrical, all these things, and look at the bills. And if it does come in over $30 more per month than your average, I won't let you guys do this, but I'll show them the numbers just to be safe. And after I go through this step process, I basically hedge all their objections on the summary on the end goal. okay? And with inflated numbers on the solar and deflated numbers on the utility. And I'll hedge all the objections on the loan. I'll hedge all the objections on the 25-year term. If you're wondering how do I do that, they say, Nick, I don't want a 25-year loan. I say, well, why'd you buy your home, right? Well, it's paid off, Nick. Well, I'm like, okay, no shit, Sherlock. But you got a loan once upon a time to pay it off. They're like, yeah, but it's paid off. I'm like, cool. So you're paid off because you got a loan. Perfect. So you love loans. Awesome. And I'll say, hey, why don't you just rent? Well, we want to own things. So I'll just ask them these questions and they'll start selling themselves. Okay. So, and another way to flip the 25-year loan, 20-year loan, whatever you guys do is help them understand like, hey, look, if you're here 30, 40 years from now, or hell, even if you move, you're going to have a roof over your head where you're paying power. Will you not? 30 years from now, will you be paying power, Mr. Prospect? Yes or no? Yes. Perfect. 25-year loan is now prevented. We just resolved that objection, okay? Beggars can't be choosers. They're basically the little bitch the utility paying till they're dead. So we'll take 25 years versus forever, right? So it's all leveraging contrast and comparison. All right, going into this next point, prevent the common objections. So most sales reps wait till the prospect brings up, so what happens with the snow? What happens in the winter? What happens with the roof and the leaks? What happens if the panel stopped working? How do we get the tax credit, right? They wait for these things to come up. You want to tell your prospect as fast as you can in the first 10, 15 minutes, like, hey, I'm gonna cover all these. These are the main things people ask. Cost, roof, maintenance, and what happens when we move? How does it transfer? Some of these bank loans don't transfer. Be transparent for the love of God, people. Tell people what really happens, okay? And so explain the process for them, dummy it down, keep it simple, okay? But make sure you hedge these main objections. This is CRM squared: cost, roof, maintenance, moving, and any other objections that might pertain to your area, your location, your utility company, okay? Don't wait for them to bring these up. You wanna figure out why they haven't done this before. You can even ask them that question. They might say, oh, it's the aesthetics. Well, cool, hit that early on. Teach them the two principles of the two utility versus the solar, and own the fact that, hey, look, this is obviously better, but some people don't do it because they'd rather pay another $60,000 over time than have panels on the roof. If that's you guys, cool, I'm good. And be willing to walk away, okay? Finally, a couple other things here. Leverage storytelling in your first 10, 15 minutes. You wanna tell the story of inflation, okay? So even though inflation in Utah hasn't been insane with utilities, I'm telling the story of other states like California, Hawaii, Texas that have had high rate increases. And I'm doing this not to scare the prospect, but teach them a reality, supply and demand, grid capacity and grid hardening of power outages and all these new things of AI and all this pressure it's putting on the grid and forcing costs to go up, okay? And I'm storytelling. As you do this, if you do it right, it bypasses the prefrontal cortex where they overthink everything, and you attack basically the amygdala in the brain. It's the emotional driver, and emotions are what drive decisions, okay? And so storytelling is a fantastic way to influence people, to get them to buy. And make sure you also use the third-party selling. It's when you refer to your installer as they, the utility company as they. When you talk in the form of we or I, it's biased. And so you want to say they as much as you can. All right, so two things within storytelling. There's two main goals. Number one is create pain, and number two is create urgency. All right, so pain, I go off of inflation and those 3 points I told you. It's going up every year. You get nothing back when you make a payment. It's 100% interest. And you're paying till you're dead. That's it, those three. And if they go into the weeds, well, what happens if the panels break? Yeah, well, why'd you buy your home? Like, what happens if your garage breaks? You still gonna rent, bro? Right? It's just simple things like back up. You didn't pay rent because you don't wanna throw your money away, make some landlord rich. Same game here, dude. The con, panels on the roof, all right? Or you could even use the con of whatever their main concern is why they haven't done it. You just keep throwing that in their face, right? Every time there's a big benefit of why people do this, okay, you throw the con in there. All right. And then creating urgency. So this is not just the tax credit. If you're watching this in 2025, I mean, I guess we love Trump for this. Some of you guys hate him for pulling the tax credit. I love it because it's created massive urgency. Leverage that urgency. There's that natural law of urgency there in solar. It's a beautiful thing about our industry. But you can also create other forms of urgency, okay? If you have net metering in your market, if you study places like California, Hawaii, net metering won't always exist. It's usually cut around 15%. Okay, when more homes have this, you can't have all these homes pumping power backwards onto the grid. It wasn't designed for this. So eventually net metering programs get cut and some people get grandfathered in depending on the utility company and the location. So that's a natural form of urgency. The other form of urgency is you. This is probably the most critical. And this stems from you having a stat calendar and having other people to visit and you showing, hey, look, I'm good. I've got other families to hit. You guys kick me out anytime. If you want to keep paying the utility company, you like it, great. I won't judge you. Okay. Finally, here on the first 10 to 15 minutes is pre-framing with pullbacks. Okay. You're setting the intention for an approval. You're not there to just say, hey, I'm going to leave you a proposal or a quote. Now, with this, if you want to identify in that first 10, 15 minutes, if they're going to tell you, hey, Nick, we don't make any same-day decisions. That's exactly what I want to hear. And I'll tell them, oh, that's perfect, Mr. Prospect. I couldn't get this approved today. I still have to build the system, look at usage. And then I'll cater my whole presentation to what they told me to do a 2-touch appointment. So it alleviates the pressure. And sometimes just doing that, they'll say, hey, you know what, actually, 20, 30 minutes in, we'll probably just end up doing this today. Okay. So whenever this happens, you always want to relieve the pressure. Hey, we don't make decisions today. No problem. I couldn't do that if I wanted to anyways. Okay. So you don't want to what you don't want is you don't want to find that out 30 minutes in, 60 minutes in when you're trying to do docs, because then it creates a massive amount of pressure that will almost always backfire. Okay. You want to get all the ugly out of the way with them, because before you pull up official numbers, and this is why I build out the system and proposal and get numbers from the bank after, is because it gives me this advantage, is I can actually say, hey, I don't have official numbers yet. And it allows me to hedge the objections on, hey, this is what it's going to be. Okay. And I might be off by $5, $10 a month, but that's not that crazy. You can just tell me now if that's not going to make sense. That's okay. I'm good. Right. And when you hedge all their objections before the official cost is shown, it's a lot easier, right? It's not this high pressure game. All right. So finally, after that's the first 10, 15 minutes. At that point, you should know if you have the deal. Now is in the point where we kind of calm down. We go look at the electrical panel. We go look at the roof. Okay. Again, you don't have to follow this exact process. I'm just giving you a framework that works. I've done this with hundreds and hundreds of deals that I've sold in our company, literally thousands, but building trust while building the system. So again, if you can build the system, amazing. Leverage that. Say, hey, turn on the TV, do your thing. I just need to do this. It'll take me 5 to 10 minutes. If they start doing that, that's amazing, because you probably got the deal in the bag, because it shows that they're relaxed, they're good. Okay. Now, if they're uptight, they're sitting at the table with you, arms folded, it shows you got to kind of loosen them up. Go out, look at the electrical panel, go look at the roof, ask for a glass of water. Hey, if someone calls you, take the call, be human. Okay. Ask to use the restroom. Do things that humanize yourself. Okay. So I always say build the rapport while designing the system. Okay. Walk around the house, look for concerns. You're going to use these concerns as pullbacks. For example, if their electrical panel is outdated, perfect. Tell them, be transparent. Hey, we've got to upgrade this. That might increase the monthly cost. Okay. That makes approval harder. I'm building interest and creating scarcity. Okay. And it's legit. I'm not faking it. And then I'm pre-framing, basically getting ready to tee up the approval. Okay. Again, I've done that contrast, saying, hey, here's the solar, here's the utility. It might be around here. And then when I come in and get the actual numbers from the bank and finish designing the system, it's usually closer. And they're like, oh, dude, this is a no-brainer. Okay. So again, that law of contrast and pre-framing early, saying, here's what it's going to be roughly. And I've been off where solar was even higher than what I said, but it's just, oh yeah, that's perfect. No, let's do it. Right. Because I got them to soft agree early. Okay. Multiple times, while simultaneously leaning out saying, I'm good if you guys don't want to do this. If you want to keep paying the utility, that's great. Right. It's so critical that you give them an opt-out early on like that. Okay. Moving on to the last part. After you have done this, you've signed docs, you've got things in the bag. You want to set proper expectations. Okay. The big things here are timelines, communication. Okay. If your company communicates a lot with the prospect, tell them that. Okay. If they don't communicate a lot, they probably should, but if they don't, just tell them, hey, no news is good news. So if you don't hear from us, that's a good thing. But you want to give them the time frame. If your rough install time frame, let's just say is 2 to 3 weeks, you want to tell them it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. You want to always under promise and tell them, hey, look, if it, heaven forbid, it is 5, 6 weeks, that can happen for different reasons with the utility company, with the city permitting, different things like that with tariffs. So if that is the case, we will communicate to you guys and you guys can blow my phone up. Okay. You want to trade phone numbers and make sure that there's communication there. And a huge hack here is I will always do site survey photos. We do this on the job there, okay, because it's a form of building credibility. But it also streamlines our job so we can get installed faster, because most companies do site survey either the next day or within 3 days by some other dude, okay? We take the 10, 15 minutes to do it. It builds a lot of credibility and it streamlines the process for approval, okay? But sometimes we will also tell the prospect, almost always I would tell the prospect, hey, look, I'll come back tomorrow just to make sure I got all my photos and got everything, all the ducks in a row. If I missed anything, I'll come back and let you guys know. So most of the time I don't miss the photos, right? But what I'm doing is I'm creating an excuse for me to come back and alleviate pressure. Because after people sign docs, they just met you, whether that was the first time or second time and you close the deal, some people get in their head. They tell their neighbors or friends or family they got solar, and their friends or family will tell them sometimes horror stories. And so their fear will build, okay? And this gap of fear starts building the more that time passes. And so when you come back the next day, you have the opportunity to close the gap, okay? And it shows, hey, this guy's gonna be in my corner, right? The biggest fear that your prospect has is, they sign docs with you, commit to all this money, and then they never see you again. That's like the biggest fear anybody has when buying from a salesperson. So alleviate that fear, communicate with them. Some of our top closers at Sparta will actually drop off gifts for these people. It's an amazing thing. We love serving prospects, but communication and expectations are so paramount in business, okay? And if you maintain weekly communication with your prospect, just a text, it goes a long ways. And if you're a high performer like some of our guys, you can even hire people out to do this for you. That's what we also do, okay? And then I will also leverage transparency. I'll show them our CRM and our install process and show them, hey, this is what the process looks like. And I'll show them a lot of people to kind of social proof our deals, okay? I'll show them the reviews and I'll explain the ugly. Like for our company, our installer actually leaves the boxes at the home when they install. Everything else is like flawless, but this is one con, is that they'll leave the trash there for efficiency reasons. And so when we tell people that, oh, it's no problem, right? It's good that you don't sugarcoat everything. Find a baby negative, something that isn't pleasant to hear. But if you tell them this, it will also increase trust and increase your retention. So the ugly about your company or business or installs, just tell them about it, right? So no need to hide things. Transparency is key. It will influence people more, increase retention more, and it will help you sell more, okay? A lot of people are afraid to tell their prospect all those things. Don't be afraid. It's actually to your advantage. Hey guys, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna be dropping a lot more content, not just for solar, but general sales training, mindset tips, leadership, how we're building a company, scaling our team. So if you want more stuff like this, please subscribe, show some love, send this video to friends in the industry, help them out. I promise we want to bring transparency to the industry and help people, okay? One of the last little tips I want to give you on this video is a hack that I did selling was I would track my customer 30-year savings, okay? I got very passionate about the value for my prospect. Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, taught that we get paid in proportion to the value we bring. And so the more value you bring, the more you serve people, the more that you will also get. Okay, so learn to serve people, learn to do it for them. When people shut you down on the door or in homes, don't think, oh, I just lost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in commissions. Think they just lost $80,000 over 30-year savings. That's how you need to think. Your energy will be so much more persuasive and genuine. You'll win people over more and you'll sleep better at night. So again, if this was helpful, please subscribe to the channel. We got a lot more content like this coming.